We're
back.
all right. Well, it's great that you stayed with us. And
we're so corny, aren't we?
we're stupid,
Oh,
not corny.
I'll tell ya.
Stupid. That's the difference.
That's all right.
This
Life
stuff
is
is
good.
actually. We can go ahead and probably pop this out now. That's pretty much it.
Why do we want to pop it out?
Because it'll be exciting to show people what we did.
Okay, but we've got to go over this oven, and we've only got 15 minutes left.
Okay. Well, are we going to want to put some of our stuff in this mold, or are we going to just
No, we're going to put it over there, but we'll take it out real quick.
and show them what we did. Now, once again, one of the great things about this clamping system is how quickly John's able to release everything.
That's right. And when you can release quickly, it's a big time saver, right?
So, yeah. So there's one. And here's
Cool. Look at that.
two radiuses right there that match
Wow.
exactly.
That's
and
really
we could have
cool.
just easily stacked 5 or 6 in there.
That's right.
So it wouldn't have been a problem at all.
Okay.
So once again, if you're in a high production shop and you've got to churn out a lot of pieces, a very simple way to do it. Very
Right.
simple.
Let's talk about this new oven. I'm excited.
Okay, I'll stay over here.
This is the new strip oven by Schultz. And they actually make a line of clamshell ovens that are more for large pieces of solid surface material. And they've come out with this strip oven, which is kind of portable. It's not really, super portable, but you can take it to the job site.
I wouldn't say it's really any different than that.
No,
though.
about the same. The controls on this one are not digital. You've got a dial here that goes from 0 to
Kinda like
500 degrees.
Kind of like my waffle iron.
There you go. 0 to 500 degrees. It's got little lift levers on it.
Little what kind of lever?
Lift levers for the top, kind of like on the trunk of your
Oh, I
car.
thought you said lip levers.
Nope, no lip levers. Okay, it locks down here to close. Now the top of it does get distorted when it's heated, and that's why you lock it down, but it actually goes back into a normal flat position when it's not hot. But you can see it kind of bends on the top. That's normal for this unit because it's the expansion and contraction of the material. This oven has a little sight door in it. Did I mention it's 110 degrees or 110 volt?
Oh, I thought.
I don't know. Yeah, it's
more than
110 volt. This is also sitting on our power stands, which are really a great item for this. We didn't even think about it till we set up the shop tonight.
Now, before we open this up,
Okay.
let's remember to talk about our slot.
Oh, yes. I'm going to talk about Ken's slot. Slot machine?
Yeah, something like
Right.
that.
Okay. No, actually, what we've come up with and Schultz is going to do is they're going to put a little door right in here on both sides of the machine, of the oven, so that you can actually take a flat piece of material, slide it through, and just heat up a small section large enough to do the radius. You'll be able to turn it on an angle to heat up approximately 10 or 12 inches, or you can turn it straight and heat up 6 inches. The big advantage to that is if you're doing a countertop that is, say, 5 foot long, has a radius and a return, if you want to, there's only 2 ways to do that. You're either going to heat the whole piece of material, and then you've got to handle this wiggly piece of material around the whole top, or you can make small radius corners first. Mm-hmm. Either way, it's a little bit of a pain. With this idea, you'll be able to slide in a large piece. You'll mark where the radius is going to go on your counter, slide it into that area, heat that up, and actually bend just that radius and still have 2 cold pieces of material that you've just formed around. So that's going to be kind of a neat feature. Because
virtually every radius on a countertop is typically, what, 1 to 3 inches?
Absolutely.
That would cover, wouldn't you say, maybe 85% of all radiuses on countertops?
Yep, 1 to 3 inches. Yep.
So the ability to have an oven this large that could heat, realistically, since it's 72 inches long, it can do a 36-inch radius.
Oh, yeah.
Without any trouble. So it can easily handle a 36-inch radius, but it could just as well, by really very careful and superior design and craftsmanship, do a 1-inch radius on a single stick of material while only heating that one small area.
That's right, exactly.
Which would actually save, I mean, once again, as far as handling, it makes it much easier because you saw when we pulled these, the long noodles out, we were having fun with them, but it's certainly hard to handle them.
Absolutely.
This way it makes it very easy, and you can still glue up a very long stick at one time.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, this oven, the nice feature about this is it's a clamshell oven, and it only opens up that far, and I'm not quite sure why they didn't make it open up further, but this is how far it opens. So it's easy to access small pieces in here. Now, of course, you're paying for this option because this oven is more expensive than the Align-Rite oven is. But this oven is also available in 12-foot, which we get a lot of call for 12-foot material, 12-foot ovens. So let's take, are you going to fool around with that piece? I'm going to pull a piece out here, and I'm going to close the oven up. Oh, look, I got marks on it, just like a barbecue.
Would that mean we overcooked it?
Yeah. So we're going to take this piece, and I'm going to give you an idea of how this mold is going to work that we're talking about. What you'll do is just set your material in there and line up the mold. And then you're just, I'll do it a little bit faster than you would because Ken says you need to do it slowly. But all you're going to do is push that right into a perfect mold, just like that, and let it cool, and you'll have a radius that is just like this. These molds are going to be available in all the sizes of the perfect seam that we carry. So you're going to be from 1 inch to
1.5.
1.5, 2,
3.
4, no 3, 4, 5, 6, and
That's
8,
it.
I believe.
Nope,
nope,
stop at 6.
Okay, so you'll be able to make a radius like this beforehand. So that's really cool.
Now, one of the things that's really important, and it's why you don't want to do this really super fast, is what you don't want to do is you don't want to develop pressure here on the sides of your molds, and then the last drive in have this just stretch your last bit of material into the corner.
Right.
You want to make sure that it's worked right in nice and cleanly.
Now, one thing that I noticed, I've never done forming before. Actually, there's a lot of solid surfaces I've never done. I've just learned it by the tools that I sell. But what happens is that when you put it into any kind of a mold, on the back side, it's going to increase in dimension. So what has to be done afterwards is this has to be sanded off flat. So what we're looking at doing is developing a tool that will actually take that off perfectly flush so that you can now go ahead and put it right into the countertop.
Almost kind of like a real rough file.
Yeah, kind of like. I've got some ideas in mind, but not really ready to
Talk about
let them
it.
out yet. You know,
I
just got to
understand.
be kind of secretive.
It's not often you
That's
keep
right.
secrets.
I know. I usually talk
Usually
way
it's
too
blah.
much. I usually talk way too much. All right, now I am going to take another piece out of here. Let's get this out of here. We have a lot of stuff on this table. All right,
That's
now
when we're having fun.
Yes, yes. When the table's full, we're having fun. Okay, we're going to take another piece of material out of here. And I don't really have, do we have any more long pieces over there?
No,
No,
sir.
I don't think so. Okay, we'll just go ahead and use a piece like this. This
Or you
is
can
fine.
butt 2 pieces right end to end.
This is fine. That's just, oh, that's disgusting, isn't it? Anyway, we're going to put this into this mold, and I'm going to show you how this works. This is so cool. It's so simple. All you do is just start by clamping them together, and then just work down the line. And as long as it's warm, it's flexible. The flat steel stops you from getting flat spots in it.
The flat steel stops you from getting flat
I'm
stops?
sorry. Yeah, well, actually, flat spots from the clamps.
I understand.
So if you didn't have that on and you just squeezed that on one side, you would have divots everywhere there's a clamp. But instead, this kind of broadcasts
And if
the...
you actually run that one over here, it actually will, yeah, just go beyond it, yeah?
Okay, all right. So I don't know if you can get a shot on that. Now, the only thing I'm not really sure about is how well these plastic clamps will hold up to this heat. But we will find out. I did try using Danny clamps on these, and they're not quite strong enough. Although Danny would say, well, John, you know what you're going to do is you're going to double up those clamps and you'll make them stronger. But I think by the time you fill this with Danny clamps, it may be a little much. However, if your shop is set up with Danny clamps, you would be able to use them by doubling them up. Well, that's an odd twist.
It is. And but one of the things it does, it actually makes a point. I don't know if the people can see it, but I'll show you real quickly. See what I have here?
I'll look and I'll relay it on to everybody
And
else.
these are the kind of things you have to look for whenever you bend and form plastic. See those?
Yeah.
Those are tears.
Oh,
in
I
the
was looking
acrylic.
at your fingertips.
No.
Were you pointing?
As you can see,
it's
right
an
in, the,
odd night
mid- right in the
tonight.
middle of this blush area, there's actually a tear in the material. Now,
There actually is.
If this had been a solid color, more than likely it wouldn't have torn. But because of the presence of the particle, and this right here, I was rolling the material, I was really flexing it, I was putting a lot of stress into it. Ow! And that hurts doing it, believe me. But I was putting a lot of stress into this, and I was just making it, and I could create tears. Now, it doesn't look like I got any tears on my edges, but I do have them inside the body. So once again, just something that you need to pay attention to.
Right? I'm just rolling up some material here.
You're rolling something? Back to that 70s problem, huh?
That's pretty cool. I just, I'm really fascinated at how easy this is. I have never done any forming. We've sold the ovens. I know people that use them. I talk to them all the time. But I've never realized how easy this is.
And one of the great things about it, you could actually, if you think about it, if you were doing a shower job, let's say we take this piece of material that John has, you could make a towel ring, a ring in a bathroom to match a vanity.
You could. You could make a collar.
Sure, let's put it on you right now. Oh, baby, we do that one time.
And you know what else you can do with this? This is really cool. I figured this out. You can take small pieces. If it's like winter time, you can take small pieces, put them in the oven, like about 4 inches long, and stick them in your pockets, and it keeps you warm.
You tried that.
It works.
Yeah, it'll work all right. But I mean, it really is fascinating what you can do with this stuff.
It is.
And a lot of this, I mean, though we've had a lot of fun tonight kind of goofing around with it, the big thing to see, guys, is really what this does is it opens up a whole new dimension to your business. It changes the way that you can market yourself, because certainly to the design crowd that, you think something like this is silly, but to somebody it might mean something. Somebody may ask, gee, can you make, one thing that we made one time was a thermoformed cookbook holder to match the countertop.
Oh, that's cool.
And all cool. That was, we just took a piece of material, we put a bend in it. We put a bend in it like this, but we had cut out a little corner on the bottom, and then we just kind of, put a slight angle to it, and then made just two little triangle brackets that we just super glued on the back.
Huh.
But then that held their cookbook. It was the same color of the countertop, and the lady was just absolutely amazed.
One of the things I was thinking about in a larger oven is, wouldn't it be cool to heat up material and just like take a square and form it and make irregular shaped bowls, water vessels. Have a drain in the bottom, and you could just mount that on the countertop and have the water pour into that. Just a, not really a functional bowl. I mean, it would hold water, but it would be just kind of neat to do that. But when you're thermoforming, you can. It's so cool what you can do.
Once again, this is how TFI got started.
Is that right?
All the Corian bowls that you guys buy from TFI, those are all thermoformed. The same thing.
They're not molded. They're actually pulled.
They're formed. They're thermoformed. Yeah.
Wow.
And the same thing. The shock bowls that come out of Germany with the stainless bottoms, those are formed too. So you start to realize there's an awful lot you can do.
That metal really takes the heat out of this quickly. Mm-hmm. This sets up far quicker than if it were not against the metal. You know that?
Yep.
That's great. Cool.
Or hot.
Hot.
These are hot.
Very hot. Very hot.
But there's a phenomenal amount that you can do with this. And once again, we have only begun to just, at best, Felicia in Michigan says hi. Do you know Felicia?
I have no idea. Who is Felicia in Michigan? Friend of Ken, or friend of Chris's.
The question is, does Karen know Felicia? But anyway.
No, I don't think Karen needs to know Felicia.
Okay, that's fine.
Especially if she's a friend of Chris's.
One might be alarmed by that. But the real point is.
Did you get to try these on?
No, I did not. But you were having a good time with them, and I'm not sure I want
to
put
really
my
nice.
hands in them now.
They're really nice.
But this just, this is like inlay work. It's a matter of imagination. This really changes what you can do with your tops. Ideas. Once again, we did something simple like the cookbook thing. One of the very first things we ever thermoformed, we made our own shower base.
What is it like to work with this after it's been thermoformed? Does it matter? Does it change the structure of it at all? Can you still route it, sand it the same, bring up the same finishes?
Everything that I've been told is that acrylics are not altered in any way. I have been told that you can in sometimes or in some ways begin to compromise some polyester, so you have to be careful.
Okay.
But on the other hand, too, you know, a caveat I would say is, even though they'll say with acrylics you're safe, once again I put 2 tears in this acrylic,
Right.
one there and one there. So obviously I altered it to a degree. I compromised it in those
Right.
areas. But no, if you pay attention, the key is if you work your pieces slowly and you make sure that they are thoroughly and uniformly heated. But
So let me get that straight. You work your piece slowly
Yeah.
and make sure it's thoroughly and evenly heated.
that's right.
Got it.
Because if you've got hot and cold spots, you've got a problem.
Absolutely. I want to thank Schultz for sending their oven down to us today.
Yep, Marty did a great job.
I want
We
to thank
appreciate it.
Align-Right. We used Formica's solid surface material tonight.
And Harmony.
We used Harmony,
And
we used a little bit of DuPont's.
DuPont Corian.
Absolutely.
And they all worked great.
And we also want to thank R&R, the manufacturers of the clamps. Great idea, guys. I know we're going to sell a ton of these.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get our little system done there, we're going to sell a bunch of those. And they sent these down as well. But
So-
we want to thank you all for joining us.
And
Discounts. We can't do 10% on the ovens, but we can do 5%.
okay.
You
So
can- so you've got all
this
week
week
to
there'll
order
be
an oven.
5% on the ovens.
Right.
What about on our clamps? 10%.
Now,
on
it's
those?
just on the strip oven, not on all the ovens.
Just the
just
ovens
on
you
the
see
strip.
here tonight. Only
Right.
only 2 ovens you see here tonight.
Well, this is available in a 12 as well. So strip oven, we could sell this for 5% off, that for 5% off as well.
Okay.
And both of our demos are available.
And what about our handy dandy clamps?
Clamps are 10% off
Okay.
all this week.
This week only.
This week only.
So this whole deal.
One time only good deal.
All right. And with that, I know we have maxed out our time because people are getting ugly with
Yes,
us.
absolutely.
So we will see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you joining us.
And looking for you in Orlando.
All right. Good night.